Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm here this week to tell you about The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Hallie Rubenhold. So this 2019 book was brought to me through one of my book clubs. It's not the kind of book that I normally pick up on my own, but I found it really fascinating, and I understand why it won so many nonfiction awards. So this book, rather than focusing on the gruesome mystery of the Whitechappel murders themselves, or the mystery of who Jack the Ripper was and that whole fascination, this book tells us about the lives of the canonical 5 women that he was supposed to have killed. Through those women, and through going back into their history and their family, their background, the author gives us a picture of the horrors of life in Victorian England for the lower class, especially the women of the lower class. And it shows us the diminishment of the women of the time, how they were not respected, not able to live on their own without the support of men, and the horrors of their life. Sort of a shadow that still falls across modern attitudes toward women. So let me read you a little bit of this book. I read this one on my Kindle, specifically my Kindle app. And here we go. So today there is only one reason why we would continue to embrace the belief that Jack the Ripper was the killer of prostitutes, because it supports an industry that has grown in part out of this mythology. There's no doubt that the story of Jack the Ripper is a good yarn. It's a gothic tale of a monster on the loose, stalking the dark streets of foggy London. It contains suspense and horror and an element of sexual titillation. Unfortunately, this is also a one-sided story, and the hunt for the killer has taken center stage. Over the centuries, the villain has metamorphosed into the protagonist. An evil, psychotic, mysterious player who is so clever that he has managed to evade detection even today. In order to gawp at and examine this miracle of malevolence, we have figuratively stepped over the bodies of those he murdered, and in some cases stopped to kick them as we walked past. The larger his profile grows, the more those of his victims seem to fade. With the advance of time, both the murderer and those he murdered have become detached from reality. Their experiences and names have become entwined with folklore and conspiracy theories. To some merchandisers, the victims are no longer human beings, but rather cartoon figures whose bloody images can be printed on t-shirts, whose deaths can be laughed about on postcards, and whose entrails decorate stickers. Is it any wonder that there has been no public appetite to examine the lives of the canonical 5, when they have never seemed real or of any consequence to us before? And of course, that is what this book tries to fight. It tries to put these women in our reality and help us see them as real women, rather than just these figures of Jack the Ripper's mythology. So I hope you pick it up and enjoy it as much as I did. Again, it's an unusual choice for me because I don't usually read a lot of nonfiction, but this is just the type of nonfiction I think I'm interested in. Something I can learn from, and something that has a bit of a narrative feel without turning it into too much of a story so that it feels like fiction. So, like, subscribe, and share my video. And if you have read this book, or if you have a suggestion for me to read for next week or for some following week, leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next week.